Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about transit Pluto Sextile or Trine one's natal Saturn. Now, this transit can manifest in power, control, transformation, passion, desire, probing, and being in harmony with one's career, laborious work, and responsibilities. Now, I'm going to elaborate and expound on that. This could be a time where you have, being able to attain some kind of power or control in your career. I don't mean power like, being Mr. or Mrs. Domineering and romping all over the people at your place of business. But what I'm saying is, it's really gaining more. It could be about gaining more power, such as gaining a position of authority and being more in control with where you're going in your business and your career at this time and the work that you're doing. And it's a time, if you have your natal Saturn and Aquarius, that work can be connected. Astrology or computers, innovation, meteorology, aviation, as some examples. And this is a time too, if you need to make a major change, in your career, it can be a very auspicious time for doing so. Some of you, may wonder, well, what's the difference between this transit and transit Pluto making a conjunction to one's natal Saturn? Well, they're comparable, but they're not exactly the same. The conjunction aspect is more integrating and intensifying. It could put more, a little more obsession and fixation, I would say, on career-related matters. As of now, in the sextile or trine, it's more of just having just natural desire and passion for doing what you're doing at your business and your career, even matters connected with responsibilities and laborious work, but not to the point where you're obsessing over it at the exclusion of everything else. And this is a time as well when you have this transit, if you're trying to probe, find out things connected, with your business. If you think there's something, like in some remote cases, if there's something not kosher or copacetic connected with your place of business, this could be the time, for digging deep, finding out secrets, going beyond subterfuge and superficiality with people at your place of business. Whatever it is you're doing in your, as far as your career goes at this point in time. And it's also about having, again, that right amount of passion and desire to take care of your responsibilities. Of the natal Saturn is in Scorpio, we may have certain responsibilities. It could be to a will or an insurance matter, something associated pertaining to taxes. This is a time as well. And when this transit takes place, it's also a time where it could be very positive for having the control in relationships with, the father, older people, and authority figures. And again, when I talk about control, I'm not talking about being controlling and being domineering in the connection. I mean, able to, be able to see these people, when you want, and having more compatibility with them, being in control in that manner, not letting, a lot of time go by in between, visits, and not having like a superficial connection with them, unless that's what you had wanted. But I would say in most cases, it's about having, the right, connection with these people. If you want a deeper connection, with your father, or it could be older person that's prominent in your life, this could be an opportune time to do so. Now, if you have any, Saturn, anatomically speaking, is connected to the knees, the bones, the joints, the hamstrings, and gallbladder. So if you're having any issues that are physically, that are anatomically connected with Saturn, what I just described, and if you've been procrastinating or hesitating on those matters, it could be the time to actually do something about it. If you've been stalling, this could be the time to take control of those issues at this point in time. And also to keep in mind, Pluto is associated with surgery. If it's a if there is something that's surgical procedure that's imminent, that's connected with one of the matters I just one of the body parts that I described that would correspond with Saturn, this could be the more auspicious time to have that surgical procedure. Saturn is also associated with chronic illnesses, so it can apply to that as well. If you have your natal Saturn in Taurus, say there might be, you may be susceptible to chronic illnesses associated with the throat, the neck, the thyroid, or the esophagus as some examples. And it's also a time, again, what I talked about before about making, if you need to make a major change or transformation in connection with the career, it could be a propitious time to do so. But I think too, when you have this transit, it's about being able to balance. If you're, say, if you're making a major transformation in some other aspect or element of your life, and you have career-related matters, responsibilities to take care of, it's a good time to have the balance between these two as well, and not letting one thing conflict with the other. So I think that's another way this transit could manifest as well. If you're dealing with any limitations or restrictions, it could be a time where it could be auspicious to gain power over those matters. I have my natal Saturn in Taurus in the 12th house, and I mean that could manifest and have limitations, restrictions monetarily, and it may be just which is really tied into secret sorrows being in the 12th house, and any also matters restrictions. Saturn Taurus could also indicate restrictions with self-worth, self-esteem, how you feel about yourself. And it's a time where it could be very positive for trying to gain some kind of power and control over those restrictions and limitations, and also any fears as well. And with me with Saturn in the 12th house, that could be expressed simply in having fear of the unknown. And this is where a time to take control, of those matters, but not to a point where you're so obsessed and fixated with it to the exclusion of everything else. And it's a time as well where if you have if you're going through, this. If you're going through some kind of sadness or sorrow or despondency, it could be a very positive time to gain some kind of support in those matters. It could be somebody just simply offering you some kind of moral support to help you deal with those matters. Or it could be someone you're simply in an intimate relationship with, or some kind of deep connection at this point in time, and also the ability to go deep to understand why this is actually happening. If you're in a depressive state, at the time of this transit, this is the time to attempt to at least gain the control over that situation. And anyway, now another way this transit could manifest, it could be a good time, for really positive time, for passion and desire, which is Pluto, and matters pertaining to the career, which is Saturn. Now let's say, for example, if the natal Saturn is in Leo, it could be a career with party event planning. It could be something with cardiology, acting, entertainment, something with the military, or even sports as some examples. And it could also be very auspicious to get support, which is Pluto, for business, which is Saturn, for business endeavors. Now, if the natal Saturn is in Virgo as an example, it could be a business connected with nutrition, health and fitness, maybe being a physician, or something with cleaning or organizing as some examples. And also too, this could be a time where Pluto related people, when I say Pluto related people, I'm talking about people, for one thing, in Plutonian professions, such as people in insurance or taxes or the occult, which includes astrology or recycling or investigation or forensics as some examples, or could simply be people that you might be in an intimate or deep connection with, and those people may be more in harmony and agreement with the hard work, which is Saturn, you're performing. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now let's say, for example, if the natal Saturn is in Scorpio, that work, that hard work you're involved in, could be associated with trash or cycling or forensics, as some examples. And this could also be a time where it's propitious for control, which is Pluto. It could be over chronic illness, which is Saturn. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Saturn is in Aquarius, chronic illness can be associated with circulation, something with the nerves, ankles, shins, or calves. And it's also a time where it could be very positive for having that desire, and which is Pluto, for doing things with the father, which is Saturn. If the natal Saturn is in Aries, as an example, it could be an Aries sun, moon, or ascendant person, or one that embodies Aries characteristics. Could be a person that's very aggressive or assertive, even combative, fearless, someone that has a lot of courage and fortitude, but can be very abrupt, even abrasive, as some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.